Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 1 of Pressed Peanut Sweepings. I'm your host, Faisal,
I'm Kevin.
and we are here to talk to you about all sorts of different things. Kevin, how you doing today?
Pretty good, man. I'm feeling pretty good actually. This is kind of a new format we're trying. So
Yeah, we're trying something different. We're gonna see how far we can get with it. How's your week been?
it's been okay. I've been actually just enjoying this nice weather we've been having here. It's crazy. Like it's supposed to be cold and it's so nice out. You don't even need a jacket.
It's so wild, isn't it? It got like crazy cold for a little while, and then like yesterday or the day before it was crazy foggy, and now it's like I walked home and I was not dying.
I think we went from minus 40 whatever and to like plus 10.
It's
Like
wild how the weather
within
goes.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it's craziness.
We like literally went 50 degrees across the board. So, like I said, hey man, enjoy it while you can.
enjoy all you
The
can.
planet's
'Cause we're
getting
all gonna be
warmer.
underwater soon enough.
Exactly. Wait till the summer when everything's on fire, and then you'll be like, "Damn, I can't breathe." So I'm treating this like summer. This is my summer right
Springtime,
now.
baby.
Yeah.
We're doing the thing. I can't wait until summer though, because do you remember that summer that was like super crazy hot?
Yeah.
Like you'd just be sitting there and you'd be sweating. I loved that summer. I was like taking.
Well,
3
you grew
showers
up
a
in
day.
like
Yeah.
the hottest place on the world, so you
Kind of, sort of. We're right on the equator.
Yeah, so heat is like your thing. It's like you're used to
Man.
sweating out there and just being.
Are you used to the winter? Do you like
I'm
the
a
winter?
I've just grown accustomed to like a winter season and then a summer season, but I don't like the extremes on either one. I just like to have my snow during Christmas and I like to have my warm summer nights. Like, I wouldn't say like hot, but just like warm enough
that you
that
can slope with the window open.
I like
and,
to walk outside at night with a t-shirt only, and like
I feel you.
that's a nice night.
That is the best
That-
feeling, honestly. Just so when you can go outside in just a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, like you don't even need to like put on. That's the thing I hate about winter is putting on the jacket and putting on the undershirt and the shirt.
Yeah, where you got to bundle up, layer
Yeah.
up.
I gotta think about it 12 times before I go outside.
You got to plan like your route. You're like, okay, I got to go. I'm not gonna make any dumb stops. I'm just gonna,
direct route. Whereas like when it's hot, you can amble around.
you wander aimlessly.
chilling.
Be like,
the
it's
sun's out
nice."
forever. Who's
Yeah.
going to bed?
Yeah, no, I get you, man. But the extremes are what kill me. Too hot, I cannot do it,
Deal
and
it.
too cold, I cannot do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great, like and I also like the fact that now I have, because we're changing the format of the show, I have more time to enjoy
To enjoy the
spread it out.
Saturday night,
Yeah,
to enjoy the
exactly.
hangout.
So, yeah. So how's your week been actually?
It's been okay. I've been crazy busy. Just been writing some grants, writing some stuff, doing my job, like just like chilling out. I tried to take some mushrooms last night because I wanted like a break. I wanted like a fun time,
Yeah.
but like nothing happened,
Oh.
which sucks.
So you did mushrooms, nothing happened.
Yeah, I think I took too little. I think I took like I took 600 grams of milligrams of mushrooms,
Right.
and like I don't think that was enough to like actually feel anything. I think I bought a tube that had like gummies in it. It's weird, like.
So if
mushroom
you
gummies.
didn't take enough, or at least you feel like
that
you
was-
didn't take enough, why didn't you just take more?
Those were my last 3 gummies.
Oh.
Because like when I bought it, it was a tube of 5, and me and my friend. So I asked the chick who delivered it, like what do I got to take a trip off of this? And she was like, take 1 gummy, and chill. I was like, all right, that sounds perfect. Me and my friend, we each took 1 gummy from the 5. Nothing happened, obviously. So then I was just like, well, I got 3 left now, so the only thing I can do is like take all 3 at once and see if something happens. So I was all ready to trip nuts yesterday, and then like didn't. That sucks when you're ready to trip and then you don't, and you're just like, damn it.
Like you've planned your day out, like you've got your evening planned. You're like, this is
I was
great.
gonna get fucked up, watch
I'm
a
gonna
bunch
be
of
all set.
cartoons.
Everything's ready to roll, and then, boom, nothing.
Yeah.
You're just like, what is going on?
I guess I gotta be normal tonight.
Or you could think of it as, okay, now I got to make sure I have more than what I need, just in case.
So that's
Gives
what
you
I'm
a
gonna,
chance to.
I really want to do it again, so I'm gonna like take some. I'm gonna buy the tube, and I'm just gonna take the whole fucking tube.
There you
and
go.
like, deal
Smart
with
guy. Doing it right.
that.
Leave nothing to chance.
Leave nothing to chance. Just jump on in.
Speaking of chances,
Speaking of leaving nothing to chance,
What have you got for us today?
I got a story for you, but first, Kevin, I think we should take a little break for our ads because I don't think you want to leave things up to chance when you are going to be joining a military association. I think you don't want to leave any of that up to chance.
I do not want to leave it up to chance.
All right, we're going to take a little break here, folks, and then we're going to get into the main topic.
Hey folks, just wanted to remind you to join the Miami Military Academy today. Boys today, men tomorrow. Or, as they say nowadays, Coca-Cola today, cocaine tomorrow.
All right, welcome back. And thanks, Faisal, for letting us know about the Military Academy.
I love supporting our troops, Kevin.
Hey.
It's on my car. It's on my hat. It's on my jacket. We got to support our troops, especially our young boy troops.
Yes.
Get them young.
Well, speaking of young boys, I know you got a story cooking up something. I've been looking forward to shooting this one for a while, so I just wanted to know how you feel about your topic, your story for today.
Okay, so this topic is a little special to me, because as you know, Kevin, I hate when people say that in movies, but as you know, Kevin, I am a filmmaker, and I make films.
And you appreciate all film genres.
I like everything.
All the film genres.
You know what? I've been trying to think about what I like as a movie. Because obviously you want to go with the horror. You think that's like the genre that everybody loves. You want to go with the horror. I like the horror. But you know what I like is the indie bullshit. I found that's my jam is stuff that weirdos made in the 90s and the 2000s.
How do you feel about the gay indie porno circuit?
Gay indie porno circuit. I think there's a lot of interesting stories there.
That incorporates the indie.
I think it incorporates everything. It incorporates romance, comedy, drama.
It is filmmaking.
It is extreme filmmaking. Well, and so I knew about this story a while back that I wanted to turn into a stop motion film. I thought it would work perfectly as a Lego stop motion film. I found out how much it takes to actually do Lego stop motion. I was like, maybe another time. But I don't know if I've ever actually told anybody this full story. I kind of tell people the synopsis, which I'll give you now, is guy robs a Brinks truck and he uses the money to make the most expensive porno in the world. All right, that catches an attention. That catches an ear, I think. You start imagining things.
I do. I'm not sure if the whole point of robbing was to make the porno, but it just sort of
happened.
It's part of it. It's built in.
It's one of those journeys that you take where you don't know where you're going to end up, but you're going to end up there.
Well, I can't wait to hear about this.
Well, yeah, so I figured I'd tell you the full story of Mr. Jorge Bosque. So he's growing up. He's a young Cuban kid. He's growing up in Miami, where a lot of Cuban people are growing up at the time. I think this was the 70s when he's growing up.
I'm thinking Scarface already.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's Scarface's kid, basically. They moved over. I think they moved to Cuba legally. I mean, to Miami legally from Cuba. So they were there. Scarface was shipped over. And he's growing up. And so his dad was a real law and order kind of guy. Also,
a real man's man.
Real man's man. Crazy homophobic. I imagine. I'm not sure. I don't think I don't know if any of the stuff you know what? No, he was pretty homophobic.
He was.
And he was very law and order. And I think his kids started to pick up on that. And there were stories of people talking about him. And I wrote about this a bit in my script. But he was one of these kids who was extra tough guy. He wanted to be a cop when he grew up. But he's also super closeted gay. And all of his friends, the guy, they always walk around, I've known several people in my life who, are very closeted, but, are doing the manliest thing they can do. So they're we're going to go crush some pussy.
Yeah.
Always that kind of guy. So he was that kind of guy. And he's bipping a bop, hanging around, making a nuisance of himself. And then he eventually graduates from high school, and he moves from Miami. Oh, where did he move to?
DC?
I don't think it was DC. I think he moved to Miami, but I think... Anyways, I'll look it up later. I think he grew up somewhere else, and then he moves to Miami, and he's out living his life. And then he He's starting to find jobs. He's starting to come out a little bit. He's taking part in the party lifestyle a little bit in Miami. Young Cuban guy hanging out in Miami. Lots of fun people hanging out. He's like having a good time, and he's starting to like join gay relationships and stuff because his dad isn't around. So like things are a little fancy freer. And he picks up this job, but like he's going from job to job. He's kind of a loser, kind of like not really doing a lot besides partying. And he's always talking about how he's gonna do something special, how he's gonna like change the world or something like that. At first, it was like he was gonna be a cop. He was gonna run for sheriff. He was gonna like change law and order. But I mean, he's finding it hard. He's jumping from job to job. I think he's a little bit of a psycho. Like at one point, they were talking. His coworkers were talking about him collecting Nazi paraphernalia. Like he's this Cuban dude who's just got like swastikas hanging around in his apartment and shit. And so he gets this job as a Brinks truck driver, right?
Right. I think he was trying to join the police academy.
Yes, he was. So
but he kept having seizures.
They wouldn't. Yeah, they wouldn't take him because he kept having seizures. And so, what's the best thing to becoming a cop? Brinks truck driver.
Be security guard for a company that transports a lot of money around.
Well, they give you tasers, right?
Yeah, but apparently they didn't do any background checks.
Nope. No. Well, I mean, I'm sure that at that point in the '80s, you could say whatever the fuck you wanted. Like, who's gonna? There's no Google. There's no national registry. You could say your name was Bill Clinton. They'd believe you.
So he went from Miami to D.C.?
No, he went. Was it D.C.?
I think he went to D.C. and then from D.C. he went to San Fran.
Right, and then he was the Brinks truck driver in San Fran.
He was the Brinks truck
Thank
driver
you
in
for
San
catching me
Fran.
up there. Yeah, so he was the Brinks truck driver in San Fran, and at one day they're transporting some money that I think was going to Hawaii. I think it was going. It was a
I think
bank
it was
shipment.
coming in from Hawaii.
It was coming in from Hawaii, and it was bank shipment, right?
It was bank money, and it was going from Hawaii to, and there is the airport. They're bringing it from the airport to wherever
To the bank in
the
San
bank.
Francisco, wherever the hell it was going.
And he was one of the two people in charge of that.
Two people, Kevin. I think you need a third. I think you need a third person
I
to
think you need a
protect
third
$7
person.
million.
Yeah, and hopefully they get paid a proper amount of money.
Well, I mean, minimum wage. What is minimum wage in the 80s like? Like $2 an hour?
I think they were getting $7 an hour to watch a Brinks truck full of money
damn.
that contained $7 million.
That's insane.
I'm not an expert or anything, but if you're paying me $7,
I'm not going to look too hard.
and 2 feet away from me is in a whole back of the truck filled with $7 million. Yeah, I'm going to think about.
Yeah, so that's what Jorge decided. That's what he's looking at this money.
Because he was having some financial trouble, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he's going
his
from
love
job
life
to
was falling
job.
apart.
Yeah, his love life's falling apart. He's going from job to job. His ex-partner called him unstable because he was going from job to job.
See, that's the thing. Nobody really understands how hard it is for people who are making barely a living wage to get by, and they think
It's tough, man.
all these people who are just trying to get by, you don't know what their lives are like. And that's why I always think you should never, ever disrespect somebody who's on like a... because you don't know. That could be the straw
could
that
be the
breaks.
day.
And then you just go, oh, shit. Because you don't know what people are dealing
You don't know
with.
what's going to happen. So, George, that was his day. Today was his day. And he's like, fuck it. I need some of that $7 million. So he tells the other guy, again, I got to say, you need 3 people. If you're transporting $7 million, you need a third person just so that it's harder for someone to like steal. So he tells the second guy, hey, they want you inside. And he goes inside. And George gets in the truck and he drives the fucking thing away. Like, I can't even imagine making that decision. Like, can you imagine how quickly, like, you don't even make that decision. You're already driving by the time you make that decision. And it's just like, fuck, what did I do? So, like, he's got dumped the Brinks truck. That thing's got to be tracked somehow or something like that. He's driving away. He crashes this fucking thing. He grabs a lady. If I'm remembering right, he grabs a lady.
Yeah, there was a woman in the airport. I forget her name.
And
but he tells her, hey, I think he had a gun because they gave him guns for some reason.
It was the 80s. Everybody
And
got
then
a
they're
gun.
like, okay. And he's like, yeah, I need your car. And then he uses the car as a getaway
He
vehicle.
does, and he loads it. He doesn't even take all of the money.
No,
he takes
1.85, I think,
Yeah.
was the total. And I think when they found the car later on after he'd gotten away, the car that he used to get away, I think he left a $50 bill in there
the
with a note
lady.
saying sorry.
Sorry, lady.
So he was kind of thoughtful.
He was, by all accounts, I don't think he was like
He's
bad
not what
person.
you don't consider him the kind of person that was mean spirited.
Well, especially after he steals the money, what ends up happening is he's going from place to place, avoiding the cops, to keeping a low profile, but he's also breaking people off money. Like he's meeting like, oh, you want to open a gym here? Here's 50 grand. Oh, you want to open a bakery
That's
here?
right.
Here's 20 grand.
He was getting a lot of access too. He moved, I think, back to New York City. He got an apartment.
Kevin, I've always wondered this. What do you think it's like transporting $1.85 million in cash? Like
In
you have
nine-
to carry it in suitcases or
in
something.
1980.
Like that shit's got to weigh you down.
So there's
doesn't
no.
it?
So just for context, there's no debit credit card systems yet. There's no cell phones. So you're just basically a guy who has
carrying these
cash,
bags of cash.
and you're going checking into hotels, everything, and you're just paying straight cash. Sooner or later, you got to think. Even I would think, hey, this is getting a little suspicious. Like everybody knows I got money. Like,
Well, that's why he kept moving from city to city. He'd like pop here, pop there, but like
I think he
just-
did settle in New York at the end.
Just physically though, carrying that cash from place to place, like, can you imagine the anxiety? Like you said, you're going to a motel. Kevin, I send you to a motel with $1.85 million in cash in suitcases. Are you leaving that motel room to go out?
No, I'm not leaving. I don't trust anybody anymore.
These
Like
fucking
my whole
cleaning
world
ladies
has
are gonna
changed
go through your suitcase.
because I just have committed a crime that I'm probably going to do jail time for. The cops are looking for me, and I'm in a motel with 1 point whatever million, and yeah, I'm absolutely paranoid, and I'm definitely not leaving anything.
But
to
he's
chance.
having a good ass time. He's going out. He's getting a new identity. He's buying furniture. He's
Yeah.
like doing coke. He's hanging out
I think he even went to a presidential rally for Jimmy Carter.
for Jimmy Carter.
So he's getting like he's living. He's not
low.
He's not low, but he's definitely moving around, getting into places.
Yeah.
And a man with that kind of cash can definitely you can get into some places.
And like, oh, can you imagine? You couldn't do that anymore. Like, you can't show up and rent a penthouse suite with cash. Like, nobody's gonna rent you a place anymore with cash.
No, I mean if you kept spending cash only, I think eventually somebody would start wondering why this person only pays everything in cash. Nowadays, cash you don't even
You
people
try
don't
to
even
pay me
use
in
cash.
cash, I'm gonna look at you weird.
Dude, you go to the store and pay with $20 bill, they look at you funny.
They're like,
'cause
well, what are you doing here? What is this? This is paper? Give me money.
yeah, so digital is like now the way to go. So how back then maybe it was common, but now you cannot.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I can't even imagine. So, anyways, he ends up in New York, like you said. He rents a spot. He's partying in the New York style. Also, this is what I would do if I was like, if I stole $1.85 million and I could like bear to leave the money. If I could find a safe and put this money in the safe and like make sure nobody's gonna fuck with it, then I would, yeah, I'd go out partying, especially in like 1980s New York.
That was a good time.
God damn it.
And he was going to the like hottest clubs
Yeah.
in New York City.
This is when Times Square is Times Square. There's no M&M store in Times Square then. There's like hookers and
he's
like
going.
cocaine
He's in
dealers.
the Village. I think he's going to these really like crazy clubs where they're doing.
Did you read about any of the clubs?
I didn't read about the clubs, but I heard a couple of clubs that he went to were shut. I think they're all shut down.
They
now.
must all be shut down. These clubs exist. They still exist now in one form or another, but they're swinger clubs and like fetish clubs and bullshit and like
Yeah.
the people would talk about like there's a guy that would be like, I think in one podcast I was listening to about this, like they'd be talking about there's a room and this room is like covered in vinyl and it's just like fists sticking out of the vinyl and dildos sticking out of the vinyl. That's just this one room all over the walls. Not a place that's not covered in like objects.
So he goes to a gay club and
did-
he meets.
yeah, he's hanging out in these gay
and he
clubs.
meets some people.
So he meets specifically a filmmaker by the name of Christopher. Chris. I'm trying to remember his full name here.
Chris Covino.
Chris Covino. Chris Covino. And Chris Covino's done a couple of like, I don't think he did the porno under his own name. I think he did pornos under a pseudonym. But he did a movie called The Cuckoo Clocks of Hell.
Right.
That was a horror movie. I think that happened after he shot his movie with George Bosque. But like he's done some work in the film. He's been working in the porn industry for a little
Wasn't
while.
he a stripper in Jersey?
Was he? I don't think. No, that was Scorpio.
Oh, that was sorry.
that
my
was
bad.
Scorpio. No, Chris
getting-
Covino was purely a filmmaker.
That's right. He was strictly film.
You got excited by the stripper, Kevin. Don't get ahead of yourself.
I forgot. Yeah, I'm getting my gay porn characters mixed up here.
But no, Chris Covino was purely a filmmaker. He was a gay person. I think he was also closeted. So obviously these two men bond over like that thing, and they're like getting along with each other. And George is like looking for a place to dump his money. Again, if I had $1.85 million, I'd be trying to get rid of it as fast as possible because, like, I gotta get rid of it. You can't hold on to that much cash.
But once you get rid of it, you're also done. Like that's the end of your.
Well, hopefully you're seeding in some businesses that you can go back to at one point and be
Well,
like,
I think
"Hey."
that's what this was supposed to be.
Well, this was. I think he wanted to become a producer of porn, and this is like the '80s when porn is like, you can't. There's no internet. You can't find it for free. You have to pay to get porn, and porn is relatively expensive to a certain degree in these times. So this was when like it was like a couple of years after the golden age of porn filmmaking. But it was still a good time to make porno films. So he's figuring, hey, I can park my money here, put some into it, and then like later I can just collect the profits. It's money laundering, baby. So the two of them get together and they decide we're gonna make a gay Roman epic. I guess I'm trying to think if Caligula must have been out by this time. And what year did Caligula come out? I gotta find that out now. Caligula came out in 1979.
Okay, so this is right on the heels of.
Yeah. I gotta look up the exact Rome. So they decide they're gonna make this film, 1981. So yeah, like literally 2 years after Caligula came out, they're like, you know what? We need to make Caligula gayer. Have you ever seen Caligula?
Never.
No, it's weird. It's like produced by the guy from Penthouse. It's got who's the guy? Malcolm McDowell, like young Malcolm McDowell in it. It's got Peter O'Toole. It's weird.
Oh, okay.
So they decide they're gonna make this porno, and they get all their resources together. They get everything together, and they start making this porno. But like Kevin, the set is a disaster.
What do you mean?
Like, first of all, they're shooting in Manhattan because, like, they don't have anywhere that, like, has Roman pillars and shit like that. But the Wall Street in Manhattan. Now, I've never been to New York. You've been to New York.
I've been to
Kevin.
New York.
Have you been to Wall Street?
Yes, I have.
Is there a lot of Roman bullshit around in there?
There's a lot of like those pillar column-y type looking things.
You seen
and
anybody
there's-
shooting gay
I
porno
wouldn't.
there?
No, not in my time, but it's probably changed a lot since the 80s. Like some of the architectures, obviously the buildings, they've probably done some renovations and stuff. But I wouldn't associate Wall Street with Roman gay stuff like that. Was
That's why you're not a
some-
creative, Kevin.
Exactly. That's why I see, because I don't see it.
You
That's
don't
why
see it.
I can't be that. I can't be a great director.
You're not the auteur.
I don't have the vision, and yeah, I'm not a visionary like George.
Well,
so.
before we get into George's vision, why don't we take a little break over here, Kevin? Because I know we have a sponsor that really wants to get their words out, and I think this would be the perfect time for them. Let's get into it. Let's hear from our sponsor.
Hey guys, just want to remind you to check out a product called Boss Lubricant. Such an effective lubricant that when you put it on, you'll be in and out of there like a bank robber.
Well, Kevin, I'm really glad that we picked that sponsor.
Great sponsorship.
Just before we get into a slippery situation over here, we definitely need the lube because we're about to get into producing some gay porno, Kevin.
Yes.
So last we left, George Bosk, he's stolen that money. He's on the run. He ends up in New York. He meets Chris Covino, and they're like, you know what? We're going to make a porno. And for the porno, we're going to need the stars of the porno world. We're going to need people who are in it.
Mm-hmm.
So then they get a stripper from New York by the name of Scorpio. So named because he has a scorpion tattooed on his butt, I think. I'm pretty sure. I looked up pictures of this guy. At one
All
point.
right. Well, I trust your research.
Maybe he was also a Scorpio too. You know what though? This is the one thing I found very fascinating. Super supportive mother.
Made costumes for her
Crazy
son.
supportive. That's wild, isn't it?
Almost like she was proud that her son was a.
And why wouldn't she be? He's successful. He's doing it. He was in Playgirl, Kevin.
I think, yeah, he was in some magazine where he was featured, and You know, it is an achievement. I mean, like, how many people probably were trying to get on that cover?
I know, right?
And like, your son is,
He's there.
you know,
He's the guy.
big time, made the big. You know,
All
it's
the
proud.
women are looking at him.
Yeah,
And then we had George Payne. Do you know anything about George Payne?
I don't.
Do you know he was in a Nicholas Winding Refn series recently? That's his most recent role. He was in a TV series with Miles Teller and I forget the other guy. So he
I didn't
made
know
some
that.
mainstream stuff. He's also one of those famous porn actors. I think he's one of the first like early porn actors. Like he's been around as long as porn's been shot since the 70s and shit. He was in some terrible movies, but he was straight, Kevin. Bisexual.
Okay,
But he'll do the job.
but he knows. Yeah,
He knows what to do. I don't think he had sex with men in his personal life, but you pay him enough, he'll do whatever you want, really.
yeah.
So these are our two stars. Now, Kevin, did you actually watch any of the movie?
No, I didn't.
Me and my friend watched it one afternoon because I was like, we were getting high and I was thinking about making this in stop motion and Lego stop motion. And I was like, I need to know what this fucking movie looks like because like if I'm going to parody this goddamn movie, I should have at least seen it so I can pick scenes that I want to parody. It's not good, Kevin.
So you watched Centurions of Rome?
Centurions of Rome. I only
Centurion.
watched like half of it because at one point I was just like, nothing's happening here. They just like set it up and then they have sex and then they don't. And then like, I was just like, this is not good.
Was it worth the amount of money that they put in, do you think?
You can tell that people are so coked up on set. There's horses going opposite directions. At one point they're like, yes, let's go to Rome. And then the horses go in opposite directions. There's two guys and they go in opposite directions. There's like, they're all like have New Jersey, New York accents. Like it's crazy. But like, they must have not been like noticing what was happening because they were all so fucked up on set. And they're spending money. They spent, I think, all of George's money on this movie.
I think so. I think it was 100,000 or 150,000.
150,000, I think, was the number. By the end of it, like they get to it, and like the movie's done shooting, and he was paying people in cash, straight up cash. Which again, I guess isn't that weird, but like. I just imagine if I got paid in cash for a movie role, like if I was on a movie set and the guy was just paying people in cash, I would think something funny is going on.
Now he was paying people in cash on set at the end of every
At the end
day.
of every day from a suitcase.
And I would assume that they probably didn't want that to stop.
No, they were making jokes about it. They were all like, "Yeah, let's keep this going," because like, I
Because
think
if it stops, then we don't get.
well, they were using a lot of people from porno films, mostly from straight porno films, from what I understand. All the cast and crew were straight. All the crew were straight. All the cast was gay. But like, I don't think George or like Chris had some experience, but I don't think George was very experienced on being on film sets. So like, you could have told him whatever. He would have kept the story going. So like they just kept stretching it out and kept stretching it out. And all this time the cops have been looking for him. Because that Brinks truck, it was insured by Lloyd's of London. And so the cops are going to try and get this money back. They're not going to give up.
No, and that's a wealthy British company.
They have been around forever. They've been insuring all sorts of things. They
Like
insured David Beckham's legs.
and ships and all this shit merchants
Yep.
from like back in the 1600s.
And hence why like money going from Miami to San Francisco.
And now they're funding a gay porno.
They are inadvertently funding a gay porno. Yeah, so like the cops are still looking for him. Movie's finished after I think 15 days of shooting. Like it was a long ass shoot. Movie's done filming.
Okay, we're moving on. So the film's done. It's ready to rock and roll. It's
They
ready
need
for
to do
release.
post production now. They need to
Okay.
do some editing. They need to do some things. But like, there's no money left. They have this extravagant rap party. Everybody gets like joints.
Well,
and
you gotta have a
coke.
rap party.
Everybody's hanging out, having a good time. There's limos. Chris Cavino walks up to him and he's like, "Hey, we need money to finish this fucking movie." And he's like, "No, I gotta go." So they go. George is in the wind now because he's thinking about his life. He's thinking about what's going on, and he thinks he wants to go back to San Francisco. He wants to find his old boyfriend, and he wants to like make amends with his life. So like Chris Cavino's left with this fucking movie. Like it's footage. It's not even edited or anything like that. So a production company comes along and they're like, "Hey, we can finish the movie for you. Give us a cut of the profits, which is normal. People do that all the time. The problem is when George ends up back in San Francisco, one of his friends ends up ratting him out to the cops. And so the cops catch up with him and they like arrest him and they're trying to find where this money is. And he's like, what money? I got no money. And I find it hard to believe. $1.85 million and you don't have any of the money? What's going on here? But yeah, so he doesn't have the money. The cops are trying to find any assets because he doesn't keep receipts of who he's giving money to and shit, so they don't know what he spent it on. But what's the one asset they do know he produced?
Centurions
of Rome. I got to explain that title, too. They must have been so fucked up. I don't know how you can make a title that's so badly spelled. Like, dictionaries exist during this time. So it came out Centurions, Centurians of Rome. Centurions is spelled with an I-O-N-S. I don't know how many people had to sign off on that title. And that's the official title. They didn't even change it. Like,
no. Well, I mean, if you got Jersey accents and horses going in opposite direction, I mean, the title is really...
It's
at that point it doesn't
matter.
It's about the movie. Like you gotta just
the most expensive gay porno ever. People hated it. It's not a good movie.
Does this movie make money?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember if it did or didn't.
Was it a box office hit or?
I think it was kind of like a failure. I'm pretty sure it didn't make its money. And then by the time they got around to showing it, Lloyd's of London has found out that this movie exists. They need to get their assets back. They're taking George to court. They're taking the producers of the film to court. They're trying to get their money back. And I think it's hilarious, the producer of the film, his testimony was basically, we don't have the money. You can have the movie. Here's some stills from the movie. And he, like, in court puts up pictures of, like, people having gay sex on the thing. And, oh, man, I think the rumor is Lloyd's of London ended up taking that movie.
And what better?
So they put it in the vault. Did you happen to read who the prosecutor was on that case?
Was it Robert Mueller?
Robert Mueller.
And do we know Robert from anything?
You know what? Another porno tape that was shot, apparently, maybe.
Former U.S. president.
Former U.S. president that may have had some titillating images. I don't know, but Robert Mueller knows.
Robert Mueller might be at the end of two of the best criminal cases or court hearings I've ever.
That was his first one too.
That's when he was just trying to come up as a
prosecutor,
in San Francisco. Little did he know that would not be his biggest case in his life.
And not his dirtiest case either.
No. But so they caught George eventually. I think he did serve some time.
He served a little bit of time. He got out of jail, I think in the 90s. No money, ended up passing away a little bit, I think from complications due to AIDS, not directly from AIDS, in the 90s. Chris Covino also passed away from AIDS, I think also sometime in the late 80s. There was quite a few people that ended up passing away from that. Like most of the cast on that, I think there was 16 people from that cast who passed away from AIDS.
Wow. Well, it was big. It was big in the
80s. Nobody knew what was happening. It was like everybody was living kind of fancy free. They weren't scared at the moment. The 90s is when people started getting scared of AIDS, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he got out. He lived a quiet life until his passing. I think he kept trying to look for his boyfriend. His boyfriend was living a better life. This movie got buried. It never really got shown into light. There was a Daily Beast article, which is how I heard about it. People saw this story. They thought it was really good, cool. There's been podcasts about it. I think someone optioned the movie rights, but nobody's really gotten the movie rights. I think it would make an amazing movie.
I think it's just worth putting up.
I wanted to make it into a stop motion film, but I still will. I still will, man. At one point, you know what I learned though? There's some sick people in this world. Because I don't know who's sicker, man. I was going on Etsy when I was trying to figure out how to make this film, and I was putting together my props, and I was trying to find like Lego sex toys and Lego whips and shit. It's on there on Etsy. Someone's making it. So I don't know who's sicker, me who's looking for it or this person that's making it.
Wow. I don't know. Good question.
Good question. I don't know if we should discuss
Maybe we'll have to dive into that next time.
So what do you think, Kevin? What's your takeaway from all of this?
I love it. I thought it was a great story, and I love the fact that in the end, he runs out of money. The porno film tanks, and Robert Mueller ends up being the prosecutor. It's just all too much goodness.
It's nuts how like everything just kind of comes together. Like it doesn't feel like it's obviously he didn't plan any of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the things that happen when you're purely reacting.
I think he was ultimately just trying to save his life and get out of this shit job situation, and his love life was falling apart, and then he just goes down a road which just takes him further and further into the underworld, and he gets involved with all kinds of people, and now he's making gay porno. And look, we didn't talk about this, but when you have $1.85 million and you're on the run, you are definitely, you're going to be coping with that in some way. You're going to be partying.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
going to be doing something. And he probably just figured this was the best way to spend the money. And
Do you know what? We're still talking about him to this day.
And who knows, like he may have inspired some young person to start getting into
Into
gay
all sorts
porn,
of
like
things.
whatever.
Yeah,
It's-
who knows what the reverberations are off of that? Like the people who survived from the cast and crew would James Cameron used to make porn
No, I didn't.
back
know
in the day. Back in the day. Like there's a lot of like big name Hollywood directors today.
porn is definitely one way to make your way.
Well, that's how they got their start because that's how you get your hands on equipment. And then it's a guaranteed profit at that time, so like it's fine. But nobody wants to work on it because it's porno. It's a filthy thing. So you get these students, these new kids that are just coming out of film school, and you get them to shoot it. So like Abel Ferrara, James Cameron, so many of these guys have been rumored to have shot like a bunch of pornos. John Carpenter, who's the guy who did Wes Craven?
Yeah,
Yeah, all these guys.
but then they make the transition.
Then they make the transition into horror films or into like big films, Titanic.
Yeah,
Like
Which-
James Cameron has a whole history of like I should show you some of his B movies because he did a bunch of like Roger Corman movies and stuff.
Oh, really?
Ones that had better fucking titles than Centurians of Rome.
Well, we'll have to get into that.
Yeah, I was thinking we could suggest some titles because like I think this thing needs a better title, man. Like, I see.
What do you
had
think?
some-
What do you think?
Do you know what? When I was writing my script for the film that I was going to shoot about the film, I watched the movie Spartacus because I think that was a big inspiration for George Bosque to do his thing with Spartacus.
Yeah.
And they have this whole like kind of weird, kind of gay subtext between these two people. They talk about eating snails and if it's good. It's a whole thing. But like that's what I was going to call my script is the eating of snails.
That's good. Yeah.
I don't know if it works for this context, though. This, I think, would be more like the eating of hot dogs.
There you go. Eating hot dogs. Well, you're making a movie about a guy who robbed a Brinks truck
Yeah.
and made a gay porno.
Roman hot dog, Roman weekend.
The Roman Weekend.
The Roman weekend. Roman all over.
There you go. You got it. I think you found your title. Roman all over.
Roman all over. Roman here, Roman there.
Just roaming around.
You got any thoughts on titles?
Not really, although I do like the idea of robbing and porno kind of in the same, so there's good titles. You could always come up with good titles. I mean,
Porno robber.
The Porno Robber, Easy Come, Easy Go. It'd just be a great movie all around. I really hope somebody does make it into a film.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to whoever does it, and if hopefully it's me that gets to it first. Well, Kevin,
it's been a blast.
it's been a real blast. That was
Thanks so
episode
much.
1.
That was a great time. Yeah,
Get ready for episode 2.
I'm looking forward to
We're
it.
gonna pick. I don't know. I'm trying to decide what direction we want to take the podcast in. If we want to go true crime, we want to go ooky spooky, or if we want to just get weirder.
It's up to you. I love the topics. The weirder, the crazier, the better.
Well, I've been watching some TV shows and I've been learning some things. So like maybe I'll come back with some things that I've
Sure.
learned.
Why not?
All right, folks.
I'll be sticking around.
Have a good rest of your night, guys. We'll talk to you next time.